everyone, Theodore Burns here for the IndyPro2000 lap walkthrough series. This is week 4 now, and we're at Okayama, which we visited last season, but this time we are on the full circuit layout as opposed to the short course last time around. So a little bit longer lap, probably a couple extra overtaking opportunities. I think this has raced really well in the past whenever we've come here, so looking forward to the week. You notice we got new livery for Downforce Racing, so still same videos, but just it's going to be a blue car now instead of the white. So yeah, keep an eye out for the Downforce cars on track. So with that, going through conditions this week, same as usual, 21, 22C. Did the hot lap at 25% usage, tested the setup at 50% usage. This is set for the morning. I think it's April 6th is the time for the session. This week I did a couple laps. I got down into the high 23s, ran a 23.779 as my best, so got pretty consistent right around there for that section of fuel. So notes on the setup. I tried the iRacing baseline. It was a little interesting to drive, so to say. And then I just drove my Okayama baseline from last season, and that felt really good. I was setting purple sectors, at a track that we've been to in the past and raced at, so it was feeling really solid. So I decided to just roll with that. I adjusted the fuel for the longer circuit and race length, so we should be all good there. But otherwise, it's basically the same exact Okayama setup that I had last season for the short course. I think compared to the iRacing baseline, it's just a little bit more downforce. This is at full downforce, and the iRacing baseline was trimmed out just a little bit. It's like E1 versus E5 rear wing, so not a huge difference. So maybe something to try out there. But then again, I was setting purple sectors down the back straight, and like I said, we've raced here in the past with a draft, so obviously it's working. It's pretty quick. All right, so with that, without further ado, let's take a look at the hot lap for this week and go from there. And there's the 23.779. All right, so let's go back through and look at this a little closer, corner by corner. So first up, turn 1 is dubbed first corner. So my approach for turn 1, the braking point is going to be somewhere in between the Dunlop Bridge and the blue pit exit cone. So it's going to be pretty hard on the brakes. We're up in top of 5th gear. I'm going to be braking a straight line on the left-hand side of the track, and then I start to turn in pretty early into the corner as I start to come off the brakes. So you notice Notice I immediately start to drop the brakes as soon as I start to turn it into the corner, carrying just a little bit of trail brake. See just a tiny bit there as I come into the corner. I'm coming all the way down to second gear, and I'm wanting to get the car up onto the red and white curbing here and hit a really late apex. I'm right about at the end of this curbing, if not, maybe a car length before this curbing. Once I get to that apex, I want to keep the steering in it, but I'm going to start to ease into the power. It's going to be a nice, smooth application into power, so I know that I'll keep the track on exit. So there we go, getting a full power and track out. Don't want to be over too wide because I do have to set up for turn 2, which leads to a little bit of the straight. So I don't want to carry full speed through turn 1 like we did last season on the short course because I want to end up not quite track left. Otherwise, you really have to hustle it back over, and you're just getting a bad angle for turn 2. So I want to end up just a little bit shy of tracking all the way out through turn 1. So this is I'm about a car width inside of this exit curb there, and that's right about I think the nice the right balance of speed and track position, compromise to set up for the next corner. So with that, let's watch it one more time through in real speed. All right, so setting up for turn 2, which is called Williams. I need to get the car back over to the right, and I'm going to kind of square it up. So you see I get all the way over to the right-hand side of the track, and I've kind of got the car squared up. So I start to turn into the corner, and I need just a little bit of brake. And so I'm going to do that right as you see I get the car squared up to the corner, and then I'm going to carry just that little bit of brake as I turn into the corner. Need just a little check on myself to make sure I don't go too far onto the grass. So this is a tricky corner because we need to scrub just a little bit of speed in order to make it on exit. So that's all I'm doing here on entry, and basically because I turned in just a touch too soon, that's why I kind of had that little check right there, so I don't end up all the way down onto the grass on the inside of the apex. But it's just a tiny little dab of the brake, and that's more just to get the car kind of turned into the corner. And those little adjustments there are just me making small little adjustments to my trajectory. Otherwise, you can do it with the wheel, but I like to keep the wheel consistent to keep the right side tires loaded through the corner. So I don't want to be sawing on the wheel because that's really going to unload the tires. I'd rather adjust my trajectory with my throttle and brake, and that's all I was doing right there. So once I get down and get the car rotated to this minimum speed through the corner, I can start to get in throttle pretty aggressively, about 75% as I roll through the corner, and then up to 100 as I start to track out. And notice the car is naturally sliding and taking itself all the way out to the exit, and I want to use all of the red and white curb. I don't want to go onto the green because there is kind of like a little bit of a drop off there, and if I get the right side tires on that, I do end up bottoming out here. And if I'm bottoming out on the red and white, I'm not only scrubbing a lot of speed, but it does kind of have a tendency to kind of shoot you straight and keep you from getting back on track, or just upset it. It's just a really bad time. So I really want to avoid going all the way onto the green, but I do want to ramp up onto the red and white, use as much of that track as possible. From there, it's full throttle all the way out, all the way through turn 3, which is the Moss S. So I'll play through that all in real speed because it's just flat out through there. But let's watch turn 2 again. All right. So now we're coming up to turn 4, which is called Atwood curve. So this is a really tricky corner, and there's a couple different lines you can kind of take through here. This is what I've found to be consistently the quickest with the best run onto the straight. So you may see some other people taking a different way. A different car might drive this a little bit differently, but this is what I've found works in the Formula cars. So with this, I want to come out of the S's, far left-hand side of the track, I want to get squared up with this because the track does kind of come back. So I want to make sure I'm squared up and I'm not, already pointing into the corner from the track over here. So I want to make sure I'm squared up for this brake zone. I'm driving past the 100 board. I'm driving down till about this patch of dirt here. If I drive to the patch of dirt, it's just a little bit too deep for the corner. So I'm probably about half a car length prior to this patch of dirt is when I'm actually braking for the corner. In this particular lap, I end up going just a hair too deep for my liking, and this cost me, I think, half a tenth down the straight. So I was about half a car length, or half a car width wide of the apex. So as the corner, it's a really heavy brake zone, and then similar technique in this car. Ease off the brake as I start to turn into the corner. It's a very slow hands, very gradual turn into the corner. And so I'm trying to get all the way down to, there's kind of like an apex point right here. It's very late through this apex curbing though. So you want to be careful not to get down too early, because then you kind of end up, kind of V'ing it off, and it's just, you end up being too slow here, and it kills your run down the straight. So we want to be able to get on throttle as early as possible for the straight. And so a lot of that is getting kind of a late apex, which is almost all the way around the corner here, almost kind of where this looks like a fire extinguisher is sitting on the wall, is about where we're trying to get to that apex. And the important part is when we're at the apex, we need the car fully rotated so that we can get on power aggressively and not just increase track distance by scrubbing out as we come up the hill here. So it's carry just that trail brake, get down. Here's right where I'm just that, half car width wide of the apex. You can get the right side tires onto the red and white is quite ideal, just touching it. But you see, once I get here, I have the car rotated. I'm going to start to get in throttle pretty aggressively. Again, it's about 75% until I feel the car really start to grab and turn in, and then it's up to full throttle. And so the reason I don't go to full throttle right away is because I don't want to be tracking and pushing wide out here, because all this does is it's just scrubbing speed. You're driving more up the hill, and it's just increasing your track distance, your lap distance. So I want to make sure I stay nice and tight as I'm coming up the hill. So I'm not driving up the hill for longer as you do if you're out here. And so because of that, that's why I'm not into full throttle until I completely get the car, the front end pulled back in, and feel that sensation of, I'm not scrubbing the fronts anymore. The front is turning, and now we're on the rear tires, and that's all I'm doing there, and just managing that radius all the way up onto the straight and keeping it flat out all the way through. So that's turn 4, Atwood curve. Watch it one more time in real speed from the chase camera. So down the long straight, one of the best overtaking opportunities here. So you really want to make sure you get a good run out of turn 4. So overtaking opportunity, this is turn 5, dubbed hairpin. It appears to be 2 words. So it is a hairpin, and it is called hairpin corner. Little funny. Anyway. Brake marker for this corner, it's past the 100. It's probably about like the 75 is what I'm using. It's maybe like halfway between the 100 and this building, which is just prior to the 50 board. So maybe it's like the 80. 75, 80 is meters is just kind of the reference I'm going for. See, there it is. It's about halfway to that building. It's again a very heavy brake, far left-hand side of the track. And then just ease off as I trail brake in. So I do want to end up getting down to first gear for this corner, but I really need to make sure I don't go down to first too early. I want to roll all the way into the corner in second and start to actually kind of turn in early, because there is a bit of banking here for the corner. So we are downhill and we are kind of driving into banking. So I want to turn in early so I can get the car compressed all the way in the banking. If I wait and turn in too late, or I pull the downshift to first too early, you're really going to have a hard time keeping the rear of the car under it, and you're going to kick the rear. It's going to slide on you. You're really going to miss this apex. And it's really important to get all the way down to the apex of turn 5 just for lap time wise. So carrying just that little bit of trail brake all the way down to second. You'll notice I don't pull first until I'm basically all the way down at the apex. So I'm still carrying just this little bit of trail brake as the track starts to come back up, and full lock as I'm all the way down on the apex, all the way down onto the red and white curbing. As I get halfway, through the corner and start to see the exit, I can start to ease in the throttle. I can do that pretty aggressively as I unwind the hands. And you'll see I wait until I get fully straight, until I get into full throttle, because we do have a little bit of a crest here, and so I don't want to get in too soon because I'll just end up spinning the rear tires. Also because I am in first gear, so it's going to accelerate pretty aggressively. So you have to be a little bit careful with your right foot. Once I get up in a second, I have my hands totally straight. I do give this little burst of full throttle through this section. I think we can play back turn 5, just the hairpin, one more time in real speed. All right, back this up just a touch. So next we'll do the next 2 corners, because kind of a sequence. It's turn 6 and 7, which is a Revolver and then Piper corners. So coming up into turn 6, there's a lot of elevation here. We're not only going downhill forward, we're also going downhill into the corner, and then there's a lot of elevation in the track itself. So there's kind of like a crest, like a ridge that kind of comes across the track, kind of in the direction of the cursor here as it kind of snakes across the track. And so I really kind of want to ride this ridge at first. So I'm going to get over to the right hand side of the track to set up for the corner. Once I get over the right hand side of the track, it's going to be a pretty early brake because this is falling down through the corner. I want to make sure I stay ahead of the track and ahead of the elevation and really get the car turned in. So it's going to be a really light brake. See, it's just a little stab up to maybe like 25% as I start to turn into the corner. I'm staying ahead of all the elevation here. So there's kind of a little drop, a little dip, and I'm turning in pretty aggressively, and I'm really going to cut all of this curb as I can. I'm going to get the left side tires all the way up, basically to the grass. And you'll see I'm basically just coasting it in at this point because of the elevation. I don't need to be slowing at all, but at the same time I don't want to be increasing my speed until I get through the corner. So as I get down to that apex, I get the left sides completely over that curbing. I'm going to start to ease into the throttle pretty aggressively because we do grip up pretty quickly here, kind of coming down the hill. And what you do when you apply the throttle quickly like that is it squats the rear of the car, and it actually gives you more rear grip as we're coming down the hill. So you can really kind of push the rear tires into the track and really help accelerate yourself down this hill. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to straighten up my hands, and we're going to end up tracking all the way out onto the green curbing here, and we're not bottoming out on this red and white curbing. So this is totally fine to do. We're not picking up a 1X for an off track whatsoever either. So then we're going to use the cut from the short course here is kind of like our next reference for the corner. And so I'm going to basically drive in all the way to this curbing here, and this curbing here is going to be my turn-in point. So I'm going to kiss this curbing with my right side tires, and at this point I'm just increasing my entry, my radius to this corner as much as possible. So ideally we'd want to drive up maybe to the end of this curbing and then turn into the corner. So we are turning in just a smidge early from this point, but what we're going to do is we're going to carry in a lot of speed to get us all the way to that apex and then get the car rotated right there, so then we can drive out. Because turn 7 here, it is a pretty conventional 90-degree corner. It's pretty flat. We're going uphill just a little bit on exit, but for the most part we want to drive it like a conventional 90-degree corner. But because we have all this extra track here and we've taken all this speed through turn 6, we're going to use that to our advantage coming into here. So you see, again, it's just a real light brake as I start to come into the corner, and that's right as I come off of that entry curb. I'm gonna just tap the brake just to kind of set the front of the car so I can get the front tires turning. And that's basically what that's what this initial brake is just to get the front of the car turning into the corner and get it kind of settled. So now that I'm coming into the corner, now I'm going to use the brakes to get the car rotated. So again, that's I'm carrying the speed in, and now I want to pivot the car basically around this the apex, which is maybe just past halfway around the corner on this curbing here. And so that's what that stab of the brake is get that rotation in the car, get myself all the way onto this curbing here. Don't want to go too far over it because it will kind of upset the right side tires. You will end up sliding out because we are pretty at the limit here with the right side tires, and we want to get the power down because there is another overtaking opportunity at the end of this short little straight here. So we want to make sure we still get a good run out to defend or possibly attack into turn 8. So with that, start to ease in the throttle. Again, we're really going to have to wait until we get to the hand straight all the way on exit before I can really ease into it, because this is another curb that I do not want to go on to the green curbing there, because this is a huge peak here. So I could run onto the red and white, but I do not want to go over that because it just bottoms the car out and it just shoots you right off of here, like a skateboard. You're grinding across the top of the curb with the bottom of the car, and it'll just shoot you off, sideways into one wall or the other, or just losing a lot of time because you can't put the power down because you have no tires in contact with the track. So make sure you stay on the red and white curbing, and that's why I'm waiting to get to full throttle until my hands are straight and I know that I'm staying on track. Otherwise, I don't want to get in throttle because otherwise you're just going to drive off and spin, and that's very easy to do. So again, don't go full throttle until you know that you're keeping it within those bounds of the track. So a little bit of a tricky section. Definitely need to hustle the car through turns 6, 7. It's going to feel pretty quick, but at the same time, you don't want to be pushing too deep in the corners. Make sure to back these up because of the elevation. So back it up, but roll the speed through, and rolling that speed through is going to give you that sensation of hustling the car through here. So here we go one more time in real speed. All right, so now approach for next sequence of corners. Going to go through turns 8 to 9, which is Redman and Hobbs. So approach for turn 8. I'm going to drive in almost to this 50 board. It's just a little bit shy of the 50 board. Probably about halfway in between the bridge and the 50. Verging on maybe just a car length prior to the 50. It's going to be an aggressive brake zone all the way down, and now these corners are extremely flat, and we're kind of driving uphill, so it's really managing the rotation through these corners. They're really long, and we want to carry speed in, but we got to make sure we keep the weight on the front tires, and then we don't break the rear loose. So I'm going to be coming in on the brakes to keep the front tires loaded so I can keep the car rotating, and I'm basically keeping the weight on the front and pivoting the rear end around, and you just really have to be super careful on throttle not to kick the rear just a little bit too much, because the rear is basically completely sliding through turns 8, 9. So this is another one where I'm in second all the way down into the corner, and then I get down to first. And basically when I hit first is I start to get into throttle. So you see I'm carrying this trail brake all the way down, like completely to the apex, all the way down to first gear, still carrying that trail brake to keep the weight on the nose. Once I get all the way down here, I'm all the way through the corner, I start to ease in the throttle basically to catch it, and so I don't over slow the car by going to first. So same thing with going into the hairpin. I don't want to go to first too early because it will kick the rear end out and it will overslow the car. So basically I'm just using first to get a run out of the corner. So again, it's just real gentle on the throttle, easing it in until I get the hands completely straight, and that's when I can finally give this little burst of full throttle in between the corners. And then setting up for turn 9, no really good braking reference. It's basically just think like a car length earlier than what you think you should be able to in the corner. Just think brake early for turn 9. That's what you got to have running through your head. But again, it's just a real light brake, and I'm basically just carrying a little bit of trail brake as I come through. And now same thing, I don't get down to first gear until I'm at the apex, and I'm ready to go back to throttle on the way out. So this one, I don't have to keep quite as much brake pressure because I'm driving into the hill, so it is naturally loading the front tires. I'm using the elevation as my trail brake. through the corner, and then I get in the throttle pretty aggressively here on exit, but again, it's not too much to really break the rear end loose until I get all the way hands straightened up on exit. I squeeze in, that's when I can get to full power for the run out. Use all of the exit here, try not to go out into the grass. So, tricky corners, a lot of sliding through there. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but just really drive the car with your feet is my biggest piece of advice for turns 8 and 9. Drive the car with your feet. Let's watch this one more time in real speed. All right, so coming up to our final 2 corners, we'll play through this, through both these kind of in our sequence. This is turn 10, which is Mike Knight corner, and then turn 11, which is the last corner. So this one, it's tricky to take it flat out. So I have to turn in a little bit early. So I can get onto this curb. I don't want to cut too much of this curb because it does upset the car, but I'm going to use all of the curb, get the right side tires all the way up on it. I need just a little bit of a confidence lift through here. So I end up upshifting as I come through the corner, just so I'm not on the limiter bouncing off it coming through here. And it's real easy. If you don't give that lift, you could probably take it flat, but you're going to end up like pushing onto the dirt here, and it just doesn't set you up right for turn 11. And we really want a good run out of 11 for turn 1, and just to get a good run out of that starts with our approach. So I am going to compromise 10 just a little bit. It's like almost a wash time-wise, just because I gained so much through 11. So yeah, you can lift through there. Yeah, you could take it flat, but you don't need to. So left side tires all the way up. Basically at the end of that curbing there is where I'm going to brake, is the end of this curbing for turn 11. And because we're still heading downhill, I want to make sure I turn in early and get all the way down onto that apex. You see I'm carrying just, again, that little bit of trail brake to keep the weight on the nose as I turn into the corner. I'm down to 3rd gear, and then like as I'm on throttle, I downshift to 2nd. So you notice I never actually downshift to 2nd coming into the corner because it will overslow the car. I want to roll through this in 3rd gear, but the downshift does help turn the car just a little bit, and it helps with the drive out. But again, like I'm not hitting 2nd until I've already gotten in throttle. So I've gotten the car completely onto the red and white curbing. I've gotten it rotated. I'm into the corner early. I'm coming around the trajectory. Now I can start to get out of the corner. So I hit my throttle, get up to about 50%, immediately downshift to 2nd gear, and then drive it out. And so with getting a 2nd, I can get up into full throttle pretty quickly and pull that upshift, and I can use all the track here on exit if I need to. You do end up bottoming just a little bit on the red and white, not enough that you're like grinding across the curb and it's high centering the car, but just enough that it does slow your run out of the corner. So I try not to go straddle this if I need to, and so just getting the left sides onto all of the red and white, maybe just touching the green, is ideal for getting the best run out of turn 11. But again, you can use that if you need, but it will cost you a little bit of time down the straightaway. So let's watch back through those that last sequence one more time in real speed from the chase camera. And there's the 23779 around Okayama. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the setup. Again, it was a carryover from last season, so maybe just a slight downforce adjustment if you're a little slow on the straights, but otherwise I think it feels really nice and solid. So yeah, if you guys need any help, again, hit me up on the forums, Discord, YouTube comments, wherever. And with that, look forward to seeing you guys out on track this week. Good luck.